Hi, I'm Ken from Get a Grip Cycles. Let's take a trip to upstate New York and see how Serotta produces their handmade bicycles.
The starting point of all of our products here at Serotta is our design and engineering capabilities. And one of the things that's unique about the company is that our 3D modeling capabilities in-house and our ability to immediately prototype those through the window here on our open-face CNC machine is part of our very aggressive, very adjustable manufacturing capabilities. Let's go inside into the factory and check it out and see the first stage in our prototyping process. So once we have an idea for a part designed, we'll then take it to this prototyping CNC machine here. One of the biggest unique factors with us is we manufacture absolutely everything in the frame ourselves. So all of our CNC processes, whether it's a part for a fork, whether it's a titanium cable guide on one of our Mivici SEs, every single CNC part that's put into a Serotta frame is manufactured here in-house. We don't outsource any of that. We control the manufacturing to the highest possible standards here in-house at the factory here in Saratoga Springs. What makes Serotta custom unique? Part of what makes it unique is our control of our materials. When we make a custom titanium bike, we can choose from 6,000 different tubing combinations. That's a staggering amount of choice. We vary the diameter of the tubes, we vary the wall thicknesses internally and externally, and then we also change the shape of our tubes. That gives us a unique capability to create a one-of-a-kind bike for one person, one bike at a time. So we're going to switch materials a little bit now. We're going to talk a little bit about our carbon manufacturing process. So we've mentioned already how we have 6,000 different combinations of titanium tubes. When we approached making our carbon fiber platforms, we wanted to engineer in a similar degree of customization. So as you can see here, we have many different specifications of tubes. Now, when a person purchases a Serotta, what we're trying to accomplish is a person that's 140 pounds has a similar experience in relative terms to a person that's over 200 pounds or 250 pounds or beyond. That we're trying to tune each bike to the individual characteristics, both in performance terms, but also in ride quality. And having our own carbon fiber composites facility in California allows us to accomplish that customization. So each carbon bike is just as custom as all our other iterations of materials. This machine here behind me is our 5-axis CNC machine. This machine allows us to take the most sophisticated cutting technology that when we create a shape on a tube or a shape in a lug, it's accurate to 0.01 of a millimeter. And that type of precision is what is the hallmark of a Serotta. When we machine any of our carbon parts, they're in a fixture that we've created, and then we use that fixture to hold this part very precisely in place in order that we can manufacture it and create a particular customer's custom geometry in the lug itself. So this is a great example. This gets clamped into this clamshell mold, and then we cut out the specific dimensions of the person's bike in here. All of the geometry lives and breathes in our manufacturing process. We never take a file to any of our carbon fiber lugs. There's no manual manipulation of the parts. The great benefit of that for us is that if we have to make a minute adjustment, we're making it with the CNC machine. We're not just arbitrarily filing down a part. We're taking fractions of a millimeter away. When we talk about the technology here in our 5-axis CNC machine, we have a tool that's coming in, spinning very precisely to cut this shape here. It's this shape that gives us that mechanical interface between the two different tubes. And these tubes have an exact bond in between each other. So when a lug is wrapped around here, not only is the lug chemically bonded with the head tube and the top tube, but there's also a mechanical perfect interface between these two tubes, so you get the maximum performance from the whole structure. With a carbon frame, you get one chance to do it correctly. So once the parts, the tubes and the lugs are finished in the CNC machine, then they'll get assembled into a fixture. Then we'll apply the glue and they'll get glued together in one of our ovens here, which evaporates off the solvent and makes it permanent. So here we have one of our welding cells. Titanium is something that we pride ourselves on here at Serotta. We pump argon gas into the frame as we're welding it. We also use a custom torch here that actually pumps argon gas in and around the weld site as we're actually welding the frame. When you're welding titanium, you produce tremendous amounts of heat. That heat actually warps or can warp the tube as it's been welded. So we've developed a proprietary welding process that allows us to weld the frames with unparalleled accuracy in the industry, and we have a proprietary way of welding and counter welding to make sure the frame stays straight as we're welding it in process. Now, the Serotta welding process is quite different to processes used by many people in the industry. And our goal in terms of us making a frame is that we make the minimum amount of adjustment to the alignment of the frame through the process. In order to make the straightest frame possible, it needs a minimum or zero adjustment during the process. What we do is we'll tack the rear of the frame together. Then it goes to the alignment table. Then we'll do a full pass weld on the rear of the frame. Then it goes to alignment table. The front of the bike is getting made in parallel. So the front of the bike will get tacked together, check it in the alignment table. Then a full pass weld, check in the alignment table. Then the front and the rear get tacked together, check in the alignment table, and then a full pass weld. Serotta's alignment standards are an eighth of what most people in the industry consider normal. We don't believe it does the rider or the bike any good to have a frame that has a massive macro alignment to align it at the end of the manufacturing process. Today, when somebody buys a custom Serotta, the forks are also part of that custom story. The forks that we produce also complement that material story in the frame itself. So we're custom engineering the characteristics of the forks to the individual characteristics of each rider. This is our paint booth in our paint department. What's unique or what's interesting about our paint department is we've borrowed a lot of this technology from the automotive industry. So PPG is who supplies our paints, and each one of these booths and each one of these sections here are essentially half of what it would take to paint a car. All of our paint booths are what we call downdraft paint booths. What we're trying to do all the time is make sure that we suck out any particulates in the air and make sure that we don't ever get that on the frame. A tiny paint particle can actually cause us to have to rework a frame. We have over 1 billion different paint combinations. So when you would take into account the many schemes we have and the 22 different color options, it's an absolute mind-boggling array of options you have to personalize your bike. Aside from advanced materials that we produce ourselves, aside from the alignment quality, it becomes very important for us that the aesthetics of the bike exactly match up with the needs of the consumer. When a frame gets finished in the paint shop, we're at the very end of the process. Before this is ready to put into a box, Celestino, our final QC person, spends between 1 and 4 hours getting a frame ready to get into the box. So any tiny imperfections in the paint are made perfect. Any tiny piece of detail, we check absolutely every piece of it before it goes in a box. Thank you for visiting us here at Serotta. For the very latest that we have to offer, please visit Get a Grip Cycles.